All right, so guys, let's take a look here. We're going to try to see if we can factor this problem here. So it says factor the trinomial by grouping. So the first thing I'm going to do here, y'all, I'm going to rewrite the problem so that it's in the right order. What I mean by that is I'm going to put the 2x squared first, and then the minus 5x, and then the plus 2. Okay, so remember, when we're factoring something like this and we're using the method of grouping, the process says we're going to multiply the first number times the last number. So 2 times 2 is going to give me 4, and I'm going to write all the numbers that I know multiply to 4. Oops, not 2 and 5, come on. 2 and 2. Okay, now what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the pair of numbers that multiplies to 4, but if I add them together, I want to get a negative 5. So look, y'all, if I make all those numbers negative, when I multiply straight across, I'm still going to get a positive 4, because a negative times a negative is a positive. But if I were to add these two numbers straight across, I would end up with my negative 5. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the problem. We're going to write it as 2x squared. Instead of me writing a negative 5x, I'm going to write a minus 1x and a minus 4x. So I'm using these numbers right here. And then I still have that plus 2 at the end. So now grouping says, let's take a look at the first two pieces. What can I factor out of here? I can take out an x. And I'm left with a 2x and a minus 1. Now I'm going to go to the second two pieces right here. The first thing I notice is when this number is negative, whatever number I'm thinking about taking out of here, I'm going to make sure that that number is negative. Let me use a different color. It's kind of hard to see the green. So I'm going to take out a negative 2. This is going to leave me with a 2x and a minus 1. Because I'm factoring out a negative 2, I'm dividing both those numbers by negative 2. Now, when this piece here and this piece here match up, we know we did that right. That's going to be a 2x minus 1. These two collapse into one factor. This piece with the other one gives me my second factor. And so now we're done. So that would be my answer that I would write in right there. Now, y'all, there's a second problem, so I'm going to do that one over here too. And let's see if we can figure this one out. I'm going to do it the same way. So the first thing I want y'all to notice, it's already in the right order. We have it from the highest power of x down to the lowest power. So the first thing I want to see if I can do is there anything I can factor out of here? So I can probably factor out a x, because it looks like they all have an x, and I can factor out the number 4. So what I'm really doing here, y'all, I'm dividing everything by 4. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. We used to have an x to the third, but we took one of them out, so now I'm left with an x squared. 4 goes into 52 13 times. I used to have an x squared, but I took one of the x's out, so I was still left with 1x. And 4 goes into 40 10 times, and I took out the x that we had there already, right? Let me fix that 10. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this part, y'all. It's going to be part of my answer down here. Okay, I'm going to factor this piece now. So I'm going to say, look, 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. Remember the process. First number times the last number. 3 times negative 10 is a negative 30. And I'm going to make my list. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Those are the numbers that I know multiply to 30. I want to find the pair of numbers that when I multiply them, I get 30, but if I add them, I get a negative 13. So I'll tell you what, if I come back over here and make that 15 negative, and I multiply them, I'm going to get a negative 30, right? And if I add them straight across, I'm going to get a negative 13. Now, you might be thinking, why couldn't we use these numbers and get a negative 13? Because if I multiply a negative times another negative, I would end up actually with a positive 30, right? That's why I don't want to use those. Okay, so now let's go ahead and rewrite our problem. It's going to be 3x squared. Now remember, instead of me writing negative 13x, I'm going to use these numbers. So I'm going to put a plus 2x, a minus 15x, and a minus 10. So from here, I can factor out the letter x. I'm left with a 3x plus 2. over here, I see the first thing is a negative. So I'm going to take out a negative 5. And I'm also left with a 3x plus 2. Doesn't really look like a 3, so let's fix that. 3x plus 2. Okay, look, they match up. Remember I told you we had this 4x? That's part of my answer, right? So I'm going to write this 3x plus 2. Remember, these two collapse into one factor. And then the other factor is going to be the x minus 5. And that's my answer. All of this right here, y'all, is what I would write in right there. Okay? So again, if y'all have any questions, let me know. You know I'm happy to help.